Hi, I'm a random guy on the internet, and right now I want to talk about something, and that something is VTubers. Now, I'm not gonna talk about the phenomenon that's been going on for 2 to 3 years now, but more like something else that's related to that. Something that is definitely not gonna be a fun ride. Drama! Yes! Internet drama is that something. And yes, you might think, bruh, screw drama, man. And in some degree, I do agree with that sentiment. Internet drama has always been dumb and stressful for a lot of people, and I can totally understand that. But sometimes a drama can be so dumb, it's just so tempting to put thoughts somewhere. And this is exactly what I'm doing right now. Anyways, what drama is it? Well, if you've been watching your timeline closely or been following a bunch of VTuber recently, especially the Western ones, you would know what I'm talking about. It all started when Nux Taku, an indie VTuber with 2 million subscribers, more or less, received an email of his acceptance as a member of VShojo, a VTuber management company. One thing puzzled him, however. He didn't send any sort of applications, nor he wanted to. So he felt suspicious about it and sent a DM to VShojo CEO himself. Just for a context here, Nux and VShojo members are pretty close. They've been into video and stream collabs and have pretty close interactions with each other. Even Nux helped one of the members in sorting out a stalker and blackmail issues, and yes, the VTuber world isn't all that sunshine and rainbow. It's all dank, with a little bit of lit up places with those neons at the side of the road. But we'll get back to that later. So, naturally, with how close they are, of course, Nux can contact the CEO of the VShojo company. He contacted the CEO regarding the suspicious email, and lo and behold, it is indeed a fake email. So, as a measure, Nux put up some effort to track down the one who sent it. Apparently, Nux was working with a bunch of people like another YouTuber, some ordinary gamer, or Mudahar, who is an expert in cybersecurity sector. He recently made a video about DDoSing, so I really recommend you to check it out. Nux also worked with the VShojo company and the authorities, which kind of makes it as an official and legit joint effort to track them down. So, on November 21st, Nux Taku posted a video in his own channel, basically telling his experience and act as some sort of PSA to other VTubers out there. Also, as an assurance, he also said the culprit has been in custody now.
This individual that I'm about to talk about, they should know that they probably shouldn't, because they might end up like this guy on the way to prison.
It was well received by a lot of people and public alike. Even VShojo themselves also made an additional statement regarding the video in the form of a tweet. It was a good day for all of us, you might say. And then something happened. On November 23rd, one of the VShojo members was expressing her distress and disappointment towards Nux. Unquote, this video ultimately makes things worse for us. Anything for views, I guess, she concluded. You can see and read it for yourself, but if I may to summarize it, she basically was upset because apparently there was an effort on dealing with the scamming, and it all went to nothing thanks to Nux's video. Even accused Nux to do so for personal gains. She also pointed out in her posting how Nux has been treating her friends, like using them as clickbaits or doing some questionable things. She also worried about how reckless Nux is on their safety or feelings, and I'm quoting here again, "The past year was hell for me due to this situation, and it's straight up painful to see it being used in a video that doesn't treat the issue lightly at all," she added. She also posted another statement, which is here. Unquote, VShojo was forced into making statement on the matter after asking him repeatedly to not release his video. This statement carries so much weight into the matter. We will come back to that statement later on. Now, after she made those posts, other members followed suit. Now, to be fair, these statements are from replies from Nux's response to the Discord post, but you get the idea. Now, about that Nux's response, he made a statement on November 23rd in form of a tweet longer, and here's the screenshot of it. The first line of this tweet longer is basically him stating his real intention of the video, and clearly he was standing by his videos so far. He stated that he's doing this for the sake of the community and apologized for making anyone involved under undue stress. Also, there's another point that he was actually working with VShojo cybersecurity officer. And not only that, he was in 4-hour conversation with one of the executive of VShojo and a member of the group as well. So, what he's trying to say is the Discord post earlier is not entirely true. Speaking of entirely true, there's another point in the writing stating that, unquote, the rumor that I had posted it, regardless of being asked not to, are untrue. In which brings back again to the other VShojo members' response. But we can get back to that later. It keeps going, by the way. The VShojo members' response, the tweet that you saw earlier, triggered another response from Nux Taku, and this time in the form of a video on Twitter. He brought up screenshots to prove his innocence, and in short, he was apologizing for not considering his friend's feelings towards the video. He also mentioned that the tweet VShojo official made along with the video is now deleted too after the Discord post. And again, he mentioned how nobody asked him to not upload that video. He was asking for a chance to mend their friendship and says it's alright if the bridge is burned already. And then there's another response from VShojo, and this time was posted by the CEO himself. TLDR, the post is debunking some of Nux's allegations. 2 allegations to be exactly. A. VShojo let indie VTubers in danger for a long period of time by letting scammers to do their job in their name. B. VShojo never approved Nux's video. Let's go through them one by one, shall we? Starting from point A, VShojo stayed silent while indies suffered. So the CEO says that up until Nux reached out to the CEO because of the scam mail is true. But apparently, VShojo, unquote, with our cybersecurity team, we investigated and worked to take down the VShojo.org domain. Regarding Nux, he was advised, unquote again, that creating any content or bringing attention to the threat actor would lead to more of the same kind of harassment and disrupt our current law enforcement investigation. He provides some screenshot, as you can see here, on how the interaction went between them. There's also a screenshot that allegedly reiterate our concerns with making public statements on threat actors. Now, there's another thing I have to mention. There is a subplot in this saga, you might say, which revolves around another indie VTuber by the name of Saki Nightshade. She is an indie VTuber and she streams nearly every day, and she did have a plan to become one of the VShojo members. She passed the entry form and audition and waited for a while until one day she got an email from VShojo officials telling her she passed to become one. So of course, as any manic person would, she didn't think twice to do anything instructed to her by the email, including writing down some personal information. Time passes by until another one day, her house got swatted. She eventually realized that she was scammed and got doxxed by a phishing method. You can guess where this is going already. She got upset and pissed and found her way to contact the real VShojo officials regarding the matter. They exchanged words once and then nothing. For months, she waited for some kind of another interaction, but nothing happened. So when the shit hits the fan for Nux, she also chimed in the replies. But then the CEO said something about the matter, as you can see here. So everything is fine and dandy now. as you can see right here. It was all just a misunderstanding, and she looked like a goofball for months. I know, right? But we're not done with her yet. We'll get back to her later. So, it was all the point A has to say. Now, to the meat and potato of this statement. Point B. VShojo approved Nux's video. In this point, the CEO has this to say. VShojo never at any point said that he had permission, nor were we asked. Now, there's a lot to take in here. If you have a trust issue, you can just read it here. But for those who put their faith in me, thanks by the way, TLDR, VShojo's side stated Nux ignored a bunch of suggestions from VShojo staff, and they never say out loud that he can upload the video. They also provided some screenshot at the last 30 minutes of the video release. And thus, that concludes the statement from VShojo, or rather anyone for now. Now, there must be a lot of questions in your head. Or not, depending on how much shit you have to give, really. But if there are questions, it will be like, why do I feel something is off? Or, what did Nux done wrong again? Or, why the hell is this happening? Therefore, there needs to be a dissection. Get it? It's like a word play of dissection and section. Because we just gotta go to another section in the video. And we gotta dissect it. Get it? Oh my god, I'm so genius. So, from what we gathered so far, Nux was distanced by his friends because he did something wrong. Now, if you have watched his video, you would wonder what is wrong with the video. He didn't expose VShojo's private information, and as far as I've seen, the closest thing to a sensitive information is Saki's OnlyFans. That's it. But as you can see in a few screenshots here, the VShojo members are, unquote, feared for their safety. Now, which part of the video they are talking about? Until the time of writing, they never elaborate what it means and which part. And also, looking back at those screenshots, there is a common point that being said there, that they asked Nux to not upload the video, in which the CEO of VShojo himself backed up this claim. But there is the Discord screenshot between Nux and Phoenix where there is none of that notions happening. And even Phoenix acted as if he supported the upload at the last 30 minutes before uploading. The time there is an important thing to remember as well, because there was Nux's statement of him, Phoenix, the CEO, and a member of VShojo was talking presumably about the video for 4 hours. Now, we are in the assumption territory here. If we are talking to a guy who made a video about exposing pedophiles in his channel for 4 hours about a video that he made exposing someone who does scam for the living, and assuming he's not gonna uploading it, I think it's a very stupid way of living. Not to mention, the same Phoenix guy was contacted twice by Nux, and even acted along with his action too. If there was any agreement in that 4-hour conversation to not upload the video, why Phoenix didn't say anything about it? And if he did, why not showing it as one of the evidence? Are we just gonna assume that Phoenix is an incompetent dumbass? And if he is, then why you hired him? The question will never be about Nux's decision, but more to VShojo's decision. And speaking of VShojo's decision, oh god, that word is so hard to nail in. Why a manager let loose her temper in her Discord server? Oh wait, excuse me, in her own Discord server. If you think it's best to not cause trouble, would it be better to solve this behind the scene? Nux is very close with a VShojo member there. He saved her career basically by the connection he has. So why posting some weird accusing post publicly rather than talking this behind the scene through that member? And Also, speaking of posts, have you seen anything odd with other VShojo girls' response? It's almost like there's a pattern going. Now let's go back to the assumption territory. In my days in the internet, I've seen some bullshit posts. If a person can put things in their own ways to say something, then you know it's not coming out of their own mouth. As we can look at the screenshots, there is a repeating line in each tweet, as if it's a mantra or something. My baseless deduction of this would be something of a directive approach of these girls. It's like they were directed to say the line and wrap it up in a different package. Now, who told them to do that? Well, I ain't a psychic here, and not a lawyer either. But logically speaking, it must be coming from someone inside the VShojo staff. Most likely their superior. So, if you want to bet safely, we can just blame the CEO. But of course, that's not gonna work 20% of the time. CEO rarely dealing with their talents directly, so there's a low chance of it being not the CEO. But then again, a CEO could handle a direct input to their employee. Just something to think about. Right, so if it's not the CEO, who would it be? Let's take a peek at the lower level. The lower level of the CEO must have been comprised by a lot of titles and divisions. But we want to find a job title that's close to the member management. I mean, the members must have been directed by somebody, right? In Hollywood movies, the crew sets are directed by the directors. In a baseball team, they are directed, or should I say, managed by the manager. In an idol group, managing would be a more common term there, so it is the manager who do the managing. So back to the VShojo members' response, most likely it was the manager that gave them a go, right? Or was it a completely impromptu replies? Was the manager not involved there? How about the PR people? Again, this leads to many questions towards the VShojo people instead of Nux. Now, let's give VShojo a rest for a moment. How about Nux? Is he completely innocent in this matter? Probably not. Maybe he's indeed an asshole who used his friends for content. Maybe he's indeed a man with no empathy and sympathy. But there's one question about it. Did he truly only gain benefits from that scam video? Did he only hurt his friends and not himself? Did he do this without any negative consequences at all? And I know it wasn't one question, but you get the vibe. If I may, to answer those, I don't think it is. Now, I'm going for personal territory here. I can relate to the guy. He had his time in the dark place and even becoming almost inhuman at a point until for some reason he got out of it. I would say one of those reasons is probably people around him. The value of those people who you can just hang around with without that weird glare or judgmental mindset is priceless in life. Well, of course, maybe there's anime too, since he is an anime connoisseur. I too know how does it feel like. What a lucky son of a bitch he is to get out of there, or at least getting a little bit closer to the light. There's a lot of us who's still stuck in the dark and maybe we'll never get out. Robin Williams, Attica, well, world ain't fair after all. Now all of this saying goes if what Nux has said is true. Of course, there's always a chance that it was all a lie. There were some douchebags like that after all, doing bad things for fun, for pleasure, for pride. For no damn reason, they doxed people, tortured a cat, make fun of autists. But I can say there's still hope that Nux isn't trolling. He isn't just using his friends for his own personal gain, and it shows how he responded last time. Instead of his usual antics, he actually apologized even though there's nothing about the case to be sorry about from his behalf. He could pull up the Billy Strat to VShojo and declare war against them, but no. He apologized. But then again, I'm not closing the narrative on him being a good person. I've seen enough bullshit in the internet to fall for that again. So I'll keep my mind open to embrace the worst from both sides. Also, to answer the questions earlier, did he truly benefit anything here? No, I truly don't think so. Most likely, people are painting him as a target now because he's alone. These hackers, these doxers, he exposed himself for them, for these people. And even in one of the screenshots, it was clearly that he didn't mind any harassment in his way. So he knew what he was going into. So no, you gotta have to admit there's something noble in his act, even though it's a very foolish act. Right. Well, that was a depressing intermission. Let's continue dissecting, shall we? Now, about the last response from VShojo, there's a lot to take in there. Firstly, about how allegedly VShojo being silent about the matter towards smaller VTubers. In the Discord post, she said there was an investigation going on with even batch people involved, aka cops. Now, when was this investigation started? She was saying basically they need to keep it hush-hush under the radar so the scammer doesn't get what they want, which is, according to them, fame and notoriety. But on October 20th, Nux has already implied he's gonna make a content out of it. If the investigation has been that long, shouldn't Nux be informed of that? I mean, sure, the CEO at that time told Nux to hold his horses, but then didn't they caught the culprit already? In Nux's video, it is heavily stated that the scammer has been located and apprehended.
This individual that I'm about to talk about, they should know that they probably shouldn't because they might end up like this guy on the way to prison.
Unless it is a lie, why did the Discord post still bring up the investigation? And even if there is an ongoing investigation of more than one culprit, why rejecting the idea of making a PSA in which exactly what Nux was doing? Effort is wasted? What effort? If we're going with the Discord post, what effort did they put in when there were 10 other indie VTubers that was doxxed and swatted? Are we just gonna justify that casualty just for the sake of VShojo's own safety and convenience? Also, let's not forget about Saki. Sure, she did an oopsie on her side, but don't you think it is important to take care of the indie VTubers? It's been said that it's simply not true, but according to Saki in an interview with a VTuber on YouTube, they've been doing nothing to at least put up a precaution to member applicants, or at least to Saki, about the scams. Now, to understand better, Saki received the news on October 18th. While we can see in one of the screenshots that cybersecurity man stated, we've been tracking this actor for a long time prior to that week. Which means they've been knowing this for a while even before Saki received the email. And even after they received the email from Saki, it was just a short exchange between her, the CEO, and a cybersecurity guy that may or may not be the same, and then there's nothing. Then, as the bigger man, as the olden say, they put the fault on her for not sending her message. Now, here's what I think. Doxing and swatting should not be a small matter. Both acts can kill people. If somebody using your brand or identity to do something criminal, nevertheless, it should be taken seriously. Now, legally, they do not have any obligations to pay attention to the victims. But ethically and even morally, they really should pay attention to the victims because it's a part of their responsibility as well to keep their name at being used for something bad. So, there, another fault by VShojo staff in handling the situation. Now, I could be wrong here, and let's just say they receive 500 emails of scam victims per day. That, I can understand the circumstances. But leaving someone hanging just because they didn't contact you back, that is some amateur stunt in the customer service department. And even worse, they only seem to be doing something in the recent 2 weeks when Nux reached out to the CEO. Again, a lot of questions from VShojo's side and not Nux's. If he indeed lied, why not just make it simple and say the culprit hasn't been in custody yet? Speaking of lying, let's take a look again on the second point. VShojo never at any point said that he had permission, nor were we asked. Looking at the points, that is definitely some bullshit because it's very technical, very semantic, you might say. If you read the interactions from Nux and VShojo officials from any screenshots provided, it doesn't need more than 5 brain cells to save assuming that they're okay with the video being uploaded. Again, what the hell did I talk about in that 4-hour conversation if it's not about the video? Did I play Jackbox or Gartic Phone or something? Thus again, implying Nux is a liar. If that's the case, why doing the semantics? I'm pretty sure a lot of people will understand immediately. Plus, there's been a lot of people hating on Nux already, so I think it's not gonna be a Billy mess on their part, but more on the Nux's part. Again, questions to the VShojo side rather than the Nux's side. Now, let's go back to the assumption territory again. The Discord post brings a lot of vibes, at least to me. If she really does have a problem with an individual, why she did have to bring that up in a Discord server? Now, let me emphasize the Discord server here because it's none other than her own Discord server. On top of that, why bringing up issues that is unrelated to Nux's video, like making people uncomfortable, using people for clickbaits? And her points really contradict with a lot of points too. Like the most prominent of them all is everyone asked him to not upload the video, and as how we went through the screenshots before, there is none of that notion or even a hint to not upload it from the VShojo staff themselves. There's also a point where she did say about the joint operations with the enforcers. But in Nux's video, he said the culprit has been apprehended. So, did she imply Nux was lying? And if so, why not just say it out loud that he is indeed lying? I mean, if they're afraid for further consequences, the cat's out of the bag already. So why not just say it out loud anyways? That Nux is, as a matter of fact, lying. Instead, they went their length to make a statement that has reaching more than a Great Wall. Also, one last thing. I think a talent or a manager that did something like this is straight up unprofessional, especially with bringing up some dirt that has nothing to do with the case. She can, however, disliking him and or hating him however she wants, but bringing up third party like fans and the public into this is never be a good case. It even makes them look like an asshole. My homies hate all the assholes. Now, forgive me for dragging more a bit of this point, but I just want to make it as an educational point for a moment. That Discord post can be taken as a calculated move. Now, here's the thing. To spreading a narrative, either false or not, one must spread the message to the one they cater at. In this case, Discord post was sent by a talent to their fans, in which the fans would obviously eat it up. It's like in war. You would want to set up some things first before charging ahead. In WW2 or World War II, there were some soldiers that was dropped behind enemy lines to ensure when D-Day happened, the soldiers could move more swift and smoothly. In this case, the Discord post is the soldiers behind the enemy lines. And then, when Nux responded to that Discord post, the notion of hating him is already somewhat high, and that's where the bubble broke by VShojo Girl's replies. As you can see, the hell broke loose for Nux. It worked. Now, you must be thinking this is the only reason why she did that. Now, prejudice leads to nowhere, and I'm talking about this not to flaming more on her either. Honestly, they, by all means, could just do that in a very coincidental timing ever. Like, for example, the Discord post could just be at the moment, kind of moment, and also with the replies. Of course, you might think about how similar the replies are, but again, this all could just be another coincidence. Maybe they all got briefed about the same time and had bottled up their feelings and had this hive mind to pen it all up at the same time. So again, I must reinforce this point as only to educate people so you become more aware that yes, people in the internet can be mostly scumbags. Well, people everywhere can be a scumbag, really. Now we are reaching to the last point of it all, and before that, I do feel I have to address some hunches about this situation. If you ask me, there is a chance that Nux indeed lying, and the VShojo side really disappointed in him for spoiling the effort to get through the ones who are responsible. Nux never get his hands on the culprit, and he's never in jail after all. I do get it, as you can see in one of the screenshots, that the main message of his video is to raise awareness about this issue. But then, raising the awareness means triggering a big red exclamation point on top of their heads, which blows away the investigation. And maybe that's where he's fault at. But even so, this could have been done behind the scene. No need to drag the public into this. Friends do break away at times, and you don't need to show that. The great example of this could be none other than their own friends himself, Noble, or Lost Boss. Now, I don't want to go into detail about what happened since no one really knows the details either. But I must say, the parties involved really making a great job to keep things discreet even after years. Now, let's just say he was close with a guy and then suddenly they just stopped talking to each other. Unsubbed, unfollowed, even until now some of their friends who know both sides, they're doing a great job of keeping things hush-hush with avoiding each other, as they would say. So, yeah, solving things behind the scene is possible if people are willing to do so. Again, the resolvement could be not an apology. Just make a statement of what happened and that's it. Even the most vague statement is enough to calm the masses and not burning people's brain trying to figure out what's going on. But obviously not with statements like these. In my opinion, whoever instigated this should have come forward and apologized for everything that's happened. To the fans, the public, and more importantly, to Nux. They can hate Nux in private and all they want, but being public and even vague about it is definitely not the way. Makes people think they are the scumbags. If they're indeed not scumbags, that is. So, yeah, I think that was all I can think of regarding the situation. Now, I'm writing this because I just want to put this out there. I've seen so many dramas in my internet days, and for all those years, I was mostly just content with only being on the sidelines. But somehow, this drama really hit me too close to home. So I feel like I'm compelled to make this video. As of the time of recording, a few members of VShojo had already issued an apology, even though they mostly apologized to the fans and the public, and to Nux, it feels like as if it's just a mere footnote. But hey, it's just my thinking. Now, speaking of footnote, Zentrea did make another apology statement recently in a thread of what seemingly is gonna be a final response from both parties, which we'll get to that later. Honestly, pondering on the situation after some time looking at the pile of mess while editing this video for like X time, dear lord, I'll be so surprised if the video ever comes out. It makes me realize how actually fucked up the situation is. I see so much people, too much people, were piling the shit out of the guy. The horror of the situation, I'd argue it can't just be described with he got a lot of hate, because dear, god, it's just, I can't even describe what's happening here with words anymore. It's just, that's how fucked up the whole thread is. Now, if the reason is justified, I kinda understand that, but seeing all this with the big picture in mind, it just makes me sad. He didn't deserve this. Sure, I would say he didn't deserve a medal either, but so with the hate. It's kind of funny that these people who will always say, please don't spread the hate, but in reality, it never works. It's like promoting a cryptocurrency with that infamous line, this is not financial advice, by the way, or those porn sites who will always ask if you're older than 18-year-old or not. Like, yeah, as if it's like ever working before. I know some did apologize already, but come on. The instigator is still not saying anything. The corporate official is still not saying anything. It's just not right by them, who is also being at fault by but doing nothing publicly to admit that yes, they were also in the wrong. Also, I'll emphasize this: the fact that they just canceled someone and they seem to have a right for not saying anything further just because they're cute. Like come on, man. That's not even funny. I mean, maybe in memes, but in reality, that's not really funny at all. Just because, I know you guys are so desperate for that one moment, so you can see your favorite anime girls just keep talking about mommy milkers for 190. Yeah, for that X amount of time. I understand that, but we can't just keep this hush hush, you know. I feel that way, man. I really do feel that way. And also, one other thing that I should point out as well is how I was worried about Nux after all this, you know. I've been watching him from the past 2 years, I think, and you could say I have a big respect for that guy. Even though I must admit that I did unsub him because, the vibe of his content isn't just for me anymore, but hey, it won't make me have any less respect nonetheless. In my old days in the internet, he is one of the people that I'd like to call playfully toxic, which is totally my kind of people. Now, I must say from his stories about himself that he occasionally told in his videos, I feel like I can relate to him in a personal level because the mental journey he has is kind of similar to what I have all these years. And it makes me even sadder and a bit of mad that he might not be the same person anymore after this. If not getting worse. Hell, if it was me, I'll definitely. I'm ensure you that I'll probably gonna get worse, which is fortunately turned to be untrue. So while I'm editing this, Nux posted a video titled "Moving Forward" in his second channel. He basically says that thanks to a lot of people around him, he could finally get back up again, and even announced that he would continue to make regular uploads as usual, starts now, or starts from the time of the video got posted. So I guess shonen anime isn't all bullshit after all. The power of friendships and all that crap. Now, even with just the upload of the video, you can already tell how he actually cared about the situation and indeed genuinely not wanting more and any more exposure on the matter. So yeah, if he says everything has been resolved behind the scenes, then alright, we all should just take him for his words. But if it would be better for the public, to receive another statements on the matter too from the corpus side. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a fair man. Again, if I see a guy being crucified for being an asshole, even if that guy is that someone that I hold up dearly, I'm totally down for it. Well, In some extreme cases, that is. But seeing how there are some allegations that just doesn't fit with the image I think he has, just bothered me and even tilted me, to say the least. Now, I know this is maybe some kind of a delusional thing from parasocial relationship or whatever that is in my end. And again, there's totally a chance that he's actually an asshole. But the proof of him not being one isn't just coming from his side or coming from his mouth. He got people around him, and it seems like these people do keep his company. If the allegations about his character is true, there's no way some people would want to or still want to be around him. Unless they are assholes themselves. But some of them even gain notoriety from criticizing, or should I say obliterating, the real assholes out there. So it doesn't make any sense him being an asshole if those people are still hanging around him. Also, why the fuck are you trying to kill his character while it has nothing to do with his character ever? It was just a mistake, a humanly mistake. You can see in the screenshots that he is actually trying to work with the people in an official capacity. There is at least some goodwill in his action. If he's indeed just trying to get some pat in the backs for that, or some clout, as they would say, he absolutely wouldn't do any of that. The most prominent case of it all is probably the EDP case. I won't try to explain the case. It's gonna make this video longer than it should be. It's all over the internet if you want to indulge yourself, that is. But here's what I'm gonna say. Sure, hell paved by good intentions. But good intentions is a good start nonetheless. But do you know what not good is? Throwing someone you know, even barely, under the bus for the sake of themselves. That is not good, and yes, hell indeed was paved.
Themselves were being impersonated. They knew how to take steps to avoid this from happening to them, and a PSA like Nux's video would significantly reduce the threat to the general public, as a swatter's ability to commit these crimes depends on the willingness of others to share personal information with them. If anything, VShojo's management were putting others at risk. It is standard procedure to inform the general public of a serial criminal to minimize the risk of more people falling victim to these crimes. I highly doubt the investigation was going to go anywhere because any competent investigator would have prioritized the safety of the general public over catching the bad.
Company asks for, I would also like to add how unprofessional it is to refer to something such as receipts when the real issue is catching criminals who swat innocent creators. She's talking in relation to Nux saying that he has receipts about his correspondence with VShojo and that they are lying about like a lot of the stuff that he's saying, and he's contesting that. So he's not talking about receipts about the person catching the person who doxed the people. He's talking about receipts about your company publicly defaming him.
Those friendships falling out, I feel that stuff on a personal level, so it makes me a little angry. Obviously I want to not let that cloud my judgment, but I don't think it's a very hard opinion to say that you should be informing the public of how these attacks work so they can defend themselves against it.
I think both sides in this situation, to say that they dropped the ball is a little bit of an understatement. I would say that they kind of just shot themselves in the foot, and then they yelled at the other side, and this is where we ended up.
When I was doxxed, the doxer had linked to me VShojo.net and VShojo.org, showcasing Nyanner's dox. And it was post-dated like March.
Okay.
And Phoenix confirmed that he knew about it when he talked to me and got my info.
Okay. And I have like two other questions real quick. Have you ever applied to them on their auditions on their audition form? Because I know that they have like a link on their
it's on
website that goes to their Reddit.
My video is on my YouTube, and I did apply to them.
Okay. And at any point, did you ever get any email from them specifically saying, by the
Never.
way, VShojo staff will never ask you for your personal information?
Nope.
Okay.
After applying to them, the only email I got was the one from the doxers.
And I felt like it was one of those situations that, number one, should have been handled privately. The only thing that I will say, guys, about this that kind of makes me a little bit frustrated is the fact that, like, the doxer, the person responsible for all of this stuff, okay? Because the fact that Nux is a victim, VShojo girls are a victim, all of this is happening, all trying to track this dude. This freaking doxer is out there somewhere laughing to the bank, bro, because, like, everyone's doing all this end fighting. Like, there is way too much energy going across each other here. Like, why are people trying to bamboozle Nux when there's a literal doxer there and Nux was a victim or almost a victim of said
victim? It's not like he wasn't part of the group. He understands what it means to be swatted. He literally said so in his apology video. So there's no reason to make him feel bad for trying to protect other people from possibly getting swatted like he did once upon a time. In conclusion, I just hope that everybody makes up sometime soon that, of course, this doxer is caught. He's definitely a really bad person, but I also just want to say, oh my god, this dude is so cringe. Listening to even just one of his videos gave me permanent herpes.
We'll be back to making content as of that video, and he has massive plans that will be changing the game in the next month or two, so stay tuned for that. As for the drama, he will not be dragging it out any more than it needs to be, and states everyone has apologized behind the scenes, and at this point wants it to be dropped. I'm glad Nux has made his statement on this, and I'm glad that he just wants it dropped and putting it all behind them. Zentreya, after this, tweeted, I would personally, since I effed up publicly, feel the need to apologize publicly to you for my part in this and inciting people as well during the situation. As you stated, I do not condone hate mobs at all and wish to move forward on peaceful terms. I am sorry. We stand Zen. And with that, that is the last time I'm going to be mentioning or talking about this topic in a video, unless for whatever reason, anything else comes out about the situation. As I said, you're free to discuss in the comments about it. And so yesterday, I talked about Ludwig leaving Twitch for YouTube, and
All in all, one can hope everyone can move on from this. Even though it seems the damage has been done, and maybe things won't be the same from now on. That's just how the world goes, I guess. I'm a random guy on the internet logging off. Have a good one, everyone.